And welcome to this meeting of the District Planning Committee on Thursday, the 15th of August. If I can make a few introductions. On my immediate right is Steve King, the team leader for major developments, who's our planning advisor for today. On the extreme right is Brian Foote, our legal advisor today. On my left is my vice chairman, Councillor Sweatman, and in the tables in front of me are the councillors who will be making decisions on today's application. And in the corners are members of the Democratic Services team who will be controlling the technology and taking the notes of the minutes of the meeting. So if we can move on to the first item on the agenda, a new item, to note substitutes in accordance with Council Procedure Rule 4. There are no substitutions today. To receive item 2, to receive apologies for absence. I have apologies from Councillor Prescott. To receive declaration of interest from members in respect of any matter on the agenda. Can members please indicate by pushing the technology in front of them if they have any declarations to make. I see none. So if by affirmation you can agree the minutes of the meetings held on the 30th of May, well, we'll do them separately. The first meeting on the minutes of the meeting on the 30th of May, are you happy that I sign those as a true record?
Agreed.
Thank you. And the minutes of the meeting on the 20th of June, are you happy that I sign those as a true record?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. To consider any items that the chairman agrees to take as urgent business, I have none. So we now move on to the substantive part of the agenda. And item 6, the first item recommended for approval, DM 241465, New River Retail Limited, 18 The Martlets, Burgess Hill, West Sussex, RH15 9BM. This is just an item for us to consider to agree or otherwise that the work has been commenced and that a lawful development certificate can be issued. So I'll hand over to Steve King to explain in detail, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. So this application seeks a lawful development certificate under Section 191 of the Town and Country Planning Act to establish that the planning application reference DM 19-33331 has been lawfully implemented. As it says in the committee report, this is an application to establish whether the development is lawful. It's a legal decision where the planning merits aren't relevant, and therefore that's why there's no reference to any of the policies in the development plan, because they're not relevant. And the application is only being reported to committee as the council has an interest in the land. So if we go to the first slide, that shows the site and surrounds outlined in red. Site is the Martlets in Burgess Hill Town Centre. I'm sure members are all very familiar with the site of the location. The relevant planning history set out in section 8 of the committee report, and that sets out the planning application that this application is seeking to establish has been implemented. So that's set out in para 85 of the report. The full details of the application and the legal framework for the assessment are in sections 10 and 11, so I won't go through that because it is a very brief report. The key point really is set out in the assessment section in paragraph 12.1. In a nutshell, for the permission to have been lawfully implemented within the 3-year time period for that permission, it's necessary for all the pre-commencement planning conditions attached to the planning permission to be discharged, and then following that, a material start to have been made on site. As set out in the committee report, the evidence shows the pre-commencement conditions have been discharged and a material start has been made. If we go to the next slide, it's just some photographs of the Martlets as it exists now that shows a number of buildings there where the canopies have been removed. That is a material start, so the permission has been lawfully implemented, and therefore a certificate can be issued. And that's it, Chairman.
Thank you. As members will know, the bar for commencement of planning applications is very low, and this would certainly appear to meet that criteria. So have any members, do any members wish to make any comments on this?
Recommend approval, Chairman.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Bell. Councillor Peacock, sorry. Right, could we move to the votes, please? One minute, sorry.
One more.
So, if you press one of the top ones there.
All right, okay. Right, thank you. It's 11-4, none against, no abstentions, so that's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Right, if we can now move on to item 7, DM 240114, Finches Field Recreation Ground and Hemsley Meadows, Old Brighton Rail, South Peace Pottage, West Sussex, RH 119AH. And I will ask Rachel Richardson to go through this item, please.
Thank you, Chairman. So this is application at Finches Field Recreation Ground and Hemsley's Meadows, Old Brighton Road, south in Peace Pottage. And this is the location plan which illustrates the site boundary, the application site boundary as outlined in red. The area edged in blue is land also within Mid Sussex District Council's ownership, but it is not included as part of the application site. It is, though, where the car parking area and Slough Parish Council Community Centre is located, just here. So slide 3 is the existing site plan, and this is a larger scale version of the location plan illustrating the site as existing. The north and northeastern boundaries of Hemsley's Meadow of the application site defines the boundary between the built-up residential area and the countryside, an area of outstanding natural beauty to the south. So this is the boundary here, which separates the countryside and the AONB from the built-up residential area. The area to the west is also countryside. Slide 4 is the proposed site plan. This slide shows the proposed layout across the two fields. Hemsley's Meadow to the north, Finches Field to the south. It shows an improved park entrance into Hemsley's Meadow, which is here, from the cul-de-sac to the east. New woodland planting along the western boundary here. Improved meadow grasses across Hemsley's Meadow. Drainage basins and ponds and a swale to the south of Hemsley's Meadow with accessible boardwalk and viewing platform. A new footpath connections designed around and across the meadow, which you can see in pink, to follow natural desire lines of existing walkers. New adventure play space with a bund of a reduced height of 2 metres above ground level. Bund is here and the play area is here. It will have a scramble rope, boulders, an integrated slide. Timber-framed swings, a climbing log stack and hammock are proposed on the south, here. Buffer areas are located to the north and western parts of Hemsley's Meadow, where all existing vegetation will be retained and planting is proposed. Improved access from the car park with a resurfaced footpath. Entrance bollards and an entrance column are proposed. Improved drainage to the football pitch to reduce localised ponding. A new picnic area here in Finch's Field and close to the entrance. It will include another freestanding hammock, a play teepee and stepping stone logs. That's where the teepee is, and then the other equipment is in this area here, and you've got cycle spaces here. This slide shows Hemsley's Meadow, the north arrangement in more detail. And this slide is the larger scale version, more detail of the Finch's Field site. This is the cross-section of Hemsley's Meadow. This slide shows 3 cross-sections taken on Hemsley's Meadow. The first one is section AA, and that's an east-westerly direction across the centre through the proposed mound. BB, the second cross-section, is orientated diagonally across the site from the top left to the bottom right as you're standing at the southern part, on the southern part of the site. And CC is a diagonal axis on a northeast to southwest direction, top right to bottom left through the pond. The mound at its lowest point, ground level, is approximately 42 metres away from the rear garden boundary of number 61 Horsham Road and approximately 53 metres away from the property to the west, number 63 Horsham Road. The mound at ground level and at its lowest point is approximately 43 metres away from the rear garden boundary of 61 Horsham Road and approximately 65 metres away from the property as shown on section B. This slide gives you a flavour of the materials that are proposed and the overall appearance of what the park will look like. And it shows the use of timber fixtures and equipment to give an overall country park environment. And these are the photographs that I've taken. The first one is the entrance from the car park into Finch's Field. Sorry, the mouse isn't. There we go, that one there. The second one is the area of where the proposed cycle parking and picnic tables, teepee and hammock will be located. This is showing the western side of the community hall, and this one is the Finch's Field and football pitch with pylon. This slide shows a view of the houses in the Hemsleys, which front onto the eastern side of Hemsley's Meadow, and the existing maintenance entrance into the meadow and gap in fencing for pedestrian access from Hemsley's. There's the gap. This one shows some of the houses backing onto the northern side of the meadow in Horsham Road, and it just gives an idea of the houses being set back from their rear garden boundaries and the type of vegetation and boundary treatment that exists. And this one is a view of the northern boundary of Hemsley's Meadow and the existing tree and hedge screen that you can see along that boundary in Horsham Road. And this slide is looking east towards the Hemsleys, standing on the southern part of the meadow. The final slide for photographs shows the western boundary. This is number 63 Horsham Road, which flanks onto the site, and 63C, which is further south of 63, and all you can see on this one is just the rooftop amongst the existing vegetation screen. My recommendation is that planning permission be granted subject to the conditions listed in Appendix A. The main issues for consideration are set out in the officer report. The applicant is Mid-Sussex District Council, and as such, the scheme of delegation to officers does not allow for proposals of this type involving the council as applicant or landowner to be dealt with under delegated authority. Members will be well aware, legislation requires the application to be determined in accordance with the development plan unless material circumstances indicate otherwise. It is considered that the application is in accordance with the development plan and that this is the proper starting point for decision making. However, the council also must have regard to other material considerations, including the National Planning Policy Framework, in determining this application. The main issues are principle, design and character, impact on the area of outstanding natural beauty, residential amenity, trees, ecology, flood risk and drainage. Policy DP12 in the Mid-Sussex District Plan is the starting point, and this policy allows for development in the countryside, provided it maintains or, where possible, enhances the quality of the rural and landscape character. This is an existing recreation ground for public use, and the proposals will maintain the quality of the rural landscape character. Under policy DP12, the proposal must also be supported by another adopted development plan policy. Policy DP24 supports development that provides new and/or enhanced leisure and cultural facilities, including the provision of play areas and equipment of an appropriate scale and impact, including making land available for this purpose. SNP Neighbourhood Plan Policy 3 supports development proposals which seek to conserve, maintain or enhance existing green infrastructure, and the Neighbourhood Plan Policy 6 supports development proposals for enhanced facilities to serve local needs and for facilities which are accessible for the benefit of the community. The principle of the proposed development is acceptable and is in accordance with the criteria of relevant planning policies. Following the planning permission for the Hemsley's housing scheme, Hemsley's Meadow was provided to the council by the developer with the intention of it being developed for the purpose of this application proposal. The master planning process for Hemsley's Meadow and Finch's Field started in 2019, and the detailed designs have been developed and evolved following comprehensive survey work and public consultation exercises. Proposals have been amended along the way in accordance with feedback from residents, whilst taking on board the constraints of the site. Hemsley's was considered the most suitable part of the recreation ground to create a country park because Finch's Field has development constraints such as overhead power lines, underground gas mains and the ancient woodland buffer zone, all restricting the extent and location of play, thereby making it unsuitable. The play mound proposed in Hemsley's has been reduced in height by 1 metre, making it only 2 metres above ground level. It is of a circular shape, the diameter of which is approximately 30 metres wide, therefore made to appear as a naturally sloping contour in the land. Existing boundary vegetation is retained to the north and western sides of Hemsley's Meadow. Footpaths have been purposefully designed to be significant distance from rear garden boundaries, which will encourage walkers to keep away from houses adjoining the site to the north. Tree planting is proposed as a buffer to the west. The proposed adventure play area is set behind the mound on its southern side to screen views from existing housing to the north. It is necessary, like within the application, to weigh up the planning balance in terms of the issues and the weight that they should each be attributed. It is important to note, though, that this is an existing recreation ground already used by the general public. It already, therefore, receives a degree of noise and activity from its current use. To summarise, the development will maintain the quality and rural landscape character of the countryside and will provide enhanced leisure facilities in accordance with the strategic aims of the leisure and cultural strategy for Mid-Sussex. It has been designed with a sense of place, having regard to its rural surroundings and to conserve the landscape character of the area of outstanding natural beauty. There will be no significant harm from the proposals on residential amenity. The highest part of the mound is some 42 metres away, and the play equipment 60 metres away from the rear garden boundaries of the houses situated to the north. It would not have an overbearing visual impact and would not appear oppressive in the outlook when viewed from properties adjoining the site. The definition of overbearing in the Oxford Dictionary is domineering and overpowering. This would appear as a grassed slope within a grassed field which is to be planted with meadow grasses and trees. It would therefore be respectful of its surroundings and not out of context. The illustrative planting proposals are considered to be acceptable by the Council's Tree and Landscape Officer. There are no objections in relation to ecology nor drainage. The drainage proposals will enhance existing points of access and play space provision, together with positively contributing to ecology and biodiversity. Therefore, taking all the points into consideration, there are no planning grounds for refusal or to consider deferring this application. The scheme is considered acceptable and is compliant with policy criteria of the adopted development plan. It is recommended that permission be granted. That brings my presentation to an end, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. All right, we have 5 speakers. If I can explain, each speaker will be restricted to 3 minutes. I will try and indicate to you when you have a minute left, and when the 3 minutes are up, I will ask you to complete your presentation, if not already done so, in one sentence. So if we can have the first speaker, please, Councillor McNaughton. The time will start when you start speaking, and they'll light up.
I'm Jane McNaughton, speaking as a member of Slaffham Parish Council regarding the application before you. I trust you are all aware of the Parish Council's submissions and their concerns. For the reasons outlined below, the Parish Council object to this application. Should the application be approved this afternoon, the Parish Council requests the agreement for amendments to the areas of concern be explicitly written into the permission by the officer. The conditions should ensure that all future variations to the proposal, particularly those concerning the type of play equipment, its location, and the height of the mound, should they be retained, are subject to further engagement. This request aligns with the principles outlined in NPPF paragraph 38, which emphasises the importance of effective engagement and the enhancement of development proposals through ongoing dialogue. In 2020 and 22, the district held public consultations that were supported by the parish and community. Hemsley's Meadow was designated as the community green space, while Finch's Field was intended for recreational use. However, the current scheme bears no resemblance to the plans consulted on, raising serious concerns regarding the amended location and types of play equipment and the proposed height of the mounds. Following discussions with the District Council, the Parish Council acknowledges that the drainage concerns have been resolved and the car park is no longer a consideration due to its exclusion. However, a future project will be pursued in collaboration to address these concerns. Improvements are crucial for the site's success, given the documented issues and their impact on parish resources. We understand the reasons for relocating the play equipment due to utilities and proximity to the ancient woodland, but note that this was not communicated or consulted on before the application. The equipment should be replaced with toddler-friendly play items positioned near the main entrance and community facilities. This would enhance accessibility, safety and inclusivity for children and families using both Finch's Field and McNaughton Hall. The mound at a proposed height of 2 metres or 6.5 feet with play equipment on top could become a gathering spot for young people, potentially leading to antisocial behaviour in an area where there are no security measures or supervision, making it difficult to monitor and manage the behaviour effectively. If the mound is to utilise the spoil from the drainage basins, it could be better distributed across the site. Alternatively, smaller mounds with integrated tree and shrub planting along the paths would enhance the area's aesthetic appeal, biodiversity and environmental value, while also addressing residents' concerns.
Right, could you complete now, please?
Is that it? Or?
Yeah, well, if you've only got the last sentence, so if you...
All right. Failure to address these concerns will undermine the parish and district community engagement efforts. It is crucial that the outstanding issues are resolved or conditions applied ahead of permission being granted. Thank you
very much. Right, the next speaker is Martin Baker. Again, the time 3 minutes will start when you start speaking.
Thank you. So hello, I'm Martin Baker from 61 Horsham Road. I'm here today to represent my family and 10 of my neighbours or neighbours' properties, all of which that back onto Hemsley Meadow. We all object to the play area position and the overbearing 2 metre mound, and in particular its proximity to our back gardens. I understand the designer's attempt to consider the wants and needs of all residents. However, this latest application falls hugely short and shows no understanding of the age demographic around this area. It is clear the position within the field and the height of the mound will have significant overbearing impact and loss to us, and we also feel it will have significant increase in noise and disturbance to us long-standing residents of Peace Pottage. It would also remove any privacy we have afforded up till now, even with the highest fence at 1.8 metres being installed. An adult standing on the mound will be able to see into our properties. This completely removes our privacy, but also is a huge security concern and is a worry for all of us. I understand the desire to keep all soil on site. However, with the removal of the slide, the mound could be spread over a larger area or indeed the entire field. The play equipment could be spread across the whole field, sharing the burden, because it does feel like a burden at this one point of the application. Alternatively, the play area could be moved into Finch's Field, notwithstanding the issues that causes, and making Hemsley Meadow become a more quiet space to be enjoyed with peaceful surroundings, as the original consultation intended it to be. It was a much more peaceful space. We already have to deal with youths drinking and taking drugs in Hemsley Meadow. Last week a fire was needed to be put out, and our fear is that mound will become a destination similar to the storage container on Finch's Field at the moment, which has had up to 15 kids on it in the summer months, causing us havoc. Myself and my neighbours have been heavily involved in the consultation, and contrary to the comments in the Council's Q&A document, we have had no opportunity to consult on this actual plan until the application has been made, which is a surprise, and it does feel like it's making a mockery of the entire consultation process.
1 minute left.
Plus, some of the other Q&A answers are spurious, and indeed regarding the play area, I find it unbelievable they've been put in there. So this justification document should be removed from planning consideration. The truth is, with a more considerate design, everyone could be in agreement for an approval. The kids do not care where the play area is, so a more centralised or spread out design, potentially including Finch's Field, could easily be adopted, removing the concerns of us local residents. I urge you to consider denying the application for this one reason, and due to the poor design and the unnecessary increase of noise and disturbance, along with a significant overbearing impact, because it is unnecessary. This is easily resolved. I'd like to support other concerns raised by the community, and thank you for listening to me today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right, the next speaker is Rob Watts. Or, sorry, are you Martin? Martin
Cleary.
Martin Cleary. Okay, right, I've got you in a different order here. That's fine. Right, again, the 3 minutes will start when you start speaking.
Hello, my name is Martin Cleary, and along with my wife Jenny and our 3 adult sons reside at 63C Horsham Road. Along with our neighbours Bob and Pauline Toon, we own the entire 120-metre western boundary to Hemsley Meadow. We strongly object to the location of the play mound, as it will be intrusive to our outdoor space and directly overlooking our living space. Increased noise pollution amplified by raising it 2 metres off the ground. Whilst it might be more than 20 metres from our facade, modern digital camera phones with a 10x digital zoom means 60 metres is about the same length as an estate car. Reviewing your latest master plan diagram through section AA, looking northwards towards the carbuncle, there's an equally high 2-metre bund along the entire length of our boundary, which appears to be within 15 metres of my house. The average adult at 1.8 metres will be able to look directly into my first 4 bedroom windows. However, our gravest concern is the design of the drainage scheme and the impact it will have on our property. Having built several houses over the last 40 years, I have a reasonable understanding of sustainable drainage systems. When we built our current home, we submitted to MSDC a detailed soil report for the foundations along with drainage designs, as did our previous neighbours who built their house in 2010. No doubt the developer who built the Hemsley's estate of 100+ houses less than 20 years ago provided similar reports. The original planning statement indicated a 4-metre difference between north and south. However, based on my observations and experience, the actual fall is closer to 1 metre. The discrepancy is critical because our property is located directly adjacent to the southwest quarter, is already prone to winter flooding and lies below the proposed drainage level. The current design could exacerbate these flooding issues posing a significant risk to our home. We're also very concerned about the proposed viewing area, which is located some 20 metres from our back door, which is to our kitchen diner and main social hub to our house. If we must endure this feature, could you please locate it on the other side, please? Throughout this consultation process, we have tried to actively engage with you and your agents. We wrote a lengthy response to the initial consultation request. We've attended site meetings, parish council meetings. We've raised concerns about the location of the drainage basin and adventurous play area or den building. Whilst we fully support getting everybody, young and old, outside and active for both physical and mental well-being, we object to the invasion of privacy, the increased noise pollution, and the concerns we raised about the risk of flooding to our property. Thank you to Martin and Bob, our neighbours, and those whose objections we concur with, and our parish council officers who have done a sterling job. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right. By process of elimination, you must be Rob Watts.
That's right.
Right, again, 3 minutes will start when you start speaking.
Thank you. We, like many residents, were supportive of this investment, making the meadow and fields usable by the community year-round, but we have concerns about the detail and process of this application. In addition to the concerns raised by my fellow community members, I must also list, number one, the picnic space on Hemsley's Meadow. We appreciate the latest plan revision has moved some picnic space at the McNaughton Hall site, but has left picnic benches still on the meadow. These will inevitably increase litter and promote antisocial behaviour, particularly at night. Hemsley's Meadow is simply the wrong location for the picnic facilities in that it lacks lighting, security and access for maintenance and litter collection, all things readily available at the McNaughton Hall site. 2. On the subject of access, whilst we all hope that the meadow facilities will be used by local residents arriving on foot, we know human behaviour will see visitors driving to Hemsley's Meadow, if only to pick up and drop off children. Currently, it takes just one vehicle to completely block access to all of the properties. This is already evidenced every time a visiting football team players arrive by car and get lost on the Hemsleys. 3. Misinterpretation of residents' feedback. For example, concerns for woodland planting were raised primarily about the proximity to properties and should not be interpreted as a preference for less planting and justification for an adventure playground. 4. The process. While our preference would be to retain the meadow entirely for nature and keep play facilities limited to Finch's Field, that is not what we're asking. We've always been very willing to compromise, whereas the consultation seems to be going to great lengths to justify a design which unnecessarily impacts local residents. For example, the website FAQ using the 400-metre guidance to justify play facilities being required, not from the village centre or even its boundary, but from the McNaughton Hall car park where nobody lives. The vast majority of residents are within 400 metres of existing play facilities, which are also in need of investment. These 4 points may seem trivial to the committee, however, they will have great impact on local residents. So our proposal is to please reject the application so that 4 positive amendments can be made.
1 minute left.
Number 1, provide benches and not picnic tables on the meadow. Limit picnic space to beside McNaughton Hall, where facilities are and will be located, and also will be easier to manage in future. There is space within the confines. 2, address the access by retaining footpath entrance on the Hemsleys Junction only, and have all signage directing visitors only via the McNaughton Hall entrance. 3, reduce the spend and future maintenance cost on play equipment and invest it in more trees, shrubbery and planting, which will help consume water, aid drainage, help with carbon capture and wildlife retention. And 4, address concerns with a single large mound, ask the designers to look at small dispersed banks with gentle gradients. These banks could be adorned with flower and planting and in themselves act as play space whilst retaining the natural aspects. In summary, please don't push this application through in a rush to simply use the budget, when with some minor compromise it could work so much better for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rachel, so I wait till we have the final speaker before you come back on any of it? Yeah. Yeah, is that okay? Yeah, that's fine. Right, we have one speaker in favour, Mark Tomes of Alan Scott Landscapes. And again, 3 minutes applies and we'll start when you start speaking.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm Mark Tomes. I'm a Chartered Landscape Architect, Director of Alan Scott, and I've been working alongside many others on this project since late 2019. This project is one of 3 park improvement projects seeking to be built during 24-25. These projects are a result of a comprehensive master planning and engagement process by Mid-Sussex District Council. During 2020, this involved desktop and site analysis, stakeholder and community engagement, and formal consultations to gather views on a draft master plan. This process identified three important themes that reflected the shared community vision and are reflected in the proposals today. 87% of respondents supported them. Based on these themes, the developed design began in late 2022, incorporating extensive, more detailed site surveys, investigations, and further consultation. Constraints in the southern part of Finchesfield, such as the gas main, the power lines, and proximity to ancient woodland, led to layout adjustments, particularly redistributing the proposed provision. In February 2023, officers conducted a community engagement exercise focused on play, and the insights gained from this are integrated into the proposals. The development of the design was a collaborative effort with Mid-Sussex Parks and Open Space team, drainage engineers, the community safety team, and many others. The proposals will bring many benefits. And I'd like to just frame some of those under the three master planning themes. So access to nature was one, and the existing site is mainly flat, open field, and it often becomes waterlogged with heavy rain and in winter, restricting the access to its nature. So the new paths and the features will improve access to the site and to its wildlife and extend views throughout the year. Thank you. The proposals also include native shrub planting and improved drainage, as we've heard. Formal and informal play was another theme. The community play features are designed to blend with the natural character, avoiding a traditional urban playground look. This includes the grassy mound in the northwest of the meadow, which serves as a very subtle destination point, with new trees on the western side to provide some shade and a slide orientated to the east. It also serves as a slight buffer between the neighbouring residents and the more formal pieces of play equipment. These other play elements are located to the southeast of the mound, and they're aimed to maximise informal and formal play, whilst respecting the open space character and budget constraints. Smaller natural play space and picnic areas proposed by the community hall. The final theme was loops and destinations, where the new interconnecting pathways enhance access and legibility.
Could you wrap up, please?
Yeah, no problem. These will help with health and well-being for the whole community, encouraging people to walk, jog and run. So in conclusion, these enhancements will bring multiple benefits, fulfilling the themes and aspirations derived from community engagement. The proposals have been carefully designed to create a place-specific, usable, welcoming and valued community asset for the whole community to enjoy now and in many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, there was a lot to take in there. Would you like to make any responses, please, Rachel?
Okay, I'll try and cover everything that was said, but obviously there was a lot mentioned. So, if I start with the area to the west of Hemsley's Meadow, here, this is not going to be built up. This is not a mound or a bund. This is completely flat. It's an area of woodland planting. So there will be trees and dispersed amongst these trees, there will be whips of 1.2 metres in height. And then planted between the whips and the trees will be seedlings to create like a woodland meadow. So that's one point that was mentioned. You mentioned, it was mentioned about the picnic tables. The picnic tables are here, here and here. There are numerous bins to be installed around the site at various entrances. There's one here, and there's one very close to the picnic tables here. In fact, they're all actually around the footpath area, one down here, one up here, to try and reduce the amount of litter that might occur as a result of the usage of the meadow. There are also benches proposed. Somebody mentioned about seating. There are benches proposed along the southern edge of Hemsley's meadow next to the swale, which is the drainage ditch on the southern boundary of Hemsley's meadow. In terms of drainage and the fall of the site does appear very level, but actually the 4 metre fall is from the very furthest northern boundary right to the very southern point of the application site boundary. If I just go, so right from the very top right to the very bottom where the red line is. In terms of the mound, there is no equipment actually proposed on the top of the mound. The slide, as the planning consultant referred to, is here, so you would scramble up or climb up the boulders and come down the slide, but there is no actual equipment proposed on the top of the mound. And as I explained, it's about 30 metres wide, 2 metres high, and the distances are approximately this distance from the very lowest point to the rear garden boundary of number 61 is 42 metres. And then to the actual property itself, it is 65 metres approximately. And to the west, from the lowest point at ground level, it is 42 metres to the rear garden boundary of number 63, and then to the actual property itself it's 52 metres. Significant distances away from between the property and the mound itself, and that's at ground level, so that's not even at the 2 metre height level. And then if I go back to the photographs I've taken, you can see that this is the northern boundary of Hemsley's meadow, which is substantially planted with trees and hedgerow, albeit there are some gaps between, but for the most part the properties are set back into their plots from this rear garden boundary. So the distances are significant, and it would be a grassed mound that, as I said, is set within the context of a field. So it would not appear significant in terms of its scale or its physical presence in that respect. I don't think what else was said. In terms of the drainage, the site is currently clay-based and can get very waterlogged, and the intention is to manage the water within the site. You can see the blue lines indicating the drainage, the French drains proposed alongside the footpaths to prevent any ponding on the footpaths. They will be a perforated drain that's sunk into the ground, and likewise you have these blue arrows in the direction of the fall of the land, which are directed to, they'll be underground as well, and they will be directed towards the basins, the detention ponds to the south. Then there's a ditch as well, the swale ditch here, that also will collect any water and let it soak away. In terms of Finch's Field, there is play equipment proposed here. There's also a new footpath. The existing footpath it feels quite unsafe. It's very enclosed with existing vegetation, and this would create a safer, more secure pathway and connection into Hemsley's meadow. And the drainage is also proposed on the pitch as well in addition to that. I
Okay,
think I've covered, have I covered everything?
I think so, most of it, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, I'm sure members, if there's anything else, members will pick up on it. Right, I'll open the discussion to members. Can they please indicate if they wish to speak? Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. I've got two things I really want to ask questions on. First of all, on item 1277 on page 48, it says, the council's drainage engineer has no concerns regarding flood risks given that the application is proposing improved drainage systems, okay? Perhaps you could say a little bit more about the improved drainage systems, like you talked about the French drains going down to the swale. Could you just elaborate a bit more on that? And the second question is on item 103334, talks about the equipment not being coloured plastic but a natural wood for things like scramble net, a slide, swings, etc. Have the local residents been consulted on the types of equipment to be provided in this play area? And perhaps any details of any consultations you've made about the sort of equipment that the local residents feel they would like, rather than what we think they should have.
Thank you, Chairman. So to start with your point on drainage, on the improved drainage systems, so it's pretty much reiterating what I've said. It's the French drains around the footpaths, which is indicated by the blue lines, which will prevent the ponding of rainfall onto the footpaths. And it's the underground drainage, which is a underground channel with a pipe that's sunk into the ground, a perforated pipe, that's then covered with gravel and soil and seeds, grass seeds to cover it up so you wouldn't know it was there. So that's going to, the intention there is for the rainfall to be absorbed into the ground and be directed towards the detention basins where it can collect when there is heavy rainfall and be allowed to soak away. This particular detention pond will be lined so that it creates a wetland feature throughout the year and doesn't just remain dry during the summer season. This one isn't lined, so this one will be allowed to go dry. And this is a swale, which is a ditch, essentially, that where the rainfall can collect and soak away. And the drainage proposals are have been designed in accordance with the SUDS, the three principal scheme of SUDS to ensure that the site properly drains away. And with the sports pitch, there'll be improved drainage to that. It doesn't show on this particular drawing the drainage proposals, but you can see the blue line along the footpath, which is around all of the footpaths.
Just one quick question on the pond. How deep is that anticipated to go when it's being used? And is there any risk of children falling into it?
So in my report, I do refer to the depth of the pond, and it is approximately 0.3 of a metre and 0.6 of a metre. I think it might be in the application details. But it's essentially to allow water to drain away rather than being a pond as a feature to, you know, for fish, etc. It's a drainage provision. And as I say, even the pond to the southwestern corner, which is partly lined, so will collect water and act as a wetland feature, is still very shallow. With regards to the play equipment, you've asked if there was any consultation. Well, there was a consultation exercise carried out prior to the application coming in as part of the council's involvement with the community and the master planning process. So that was included before the application came in. And then when the application came in, all neighbours were notified, so they were given their 21 days to make comments, which they can do in terms of the play equipment. And then finally, there's also a planning condition that allows for officers to approve details of the play equipment.
Right, thank you.
Councillor Bates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm supportive of the application. It's been about 5 years and there's been discussions, consultation, etc. So I'm sure that there's been enough feedback and alterations to the scheme. It's fairly commonplace to have play areas associated with residential spaces, so I'm a bit surprised about the comments being made. And also, in that particular area, what is going to be the volume of use? I think one of the questions that I was going to ask was the access from Horsham Road, but I think we've got the message about that. Yeah, overall, I think it's worthy of approval. The only thing that was mentioned that triggered a bell was the fact that there's going to be bins for rubbish by the picnic tables. And then it flagged up as one of the issues I'm having to deal with a lot at the moment is dog fowl bins. And would there be a dog bin on here? Because these sort of areas attract dog walkers for sure. So can we have that verified, or is it going to be provided?
Do you want me to comment on that?
Yes, please. Yeah, sorry, actually, yeah.
Thank you. I have been given an illustrative palette, as you can see from this particular slide, showing an example of a park bin. I haven't got the specifics, but as previously said, there will be a planning condition to approve details. So we can look at that when the details come in to discharge those conditions.
I'd advise you to do that.
Would I be correct in saying that if it's double wrap, that dog mess can actually go into general bins now?
Yes.
Because I believe in Surrey they were taking away dog bins and actually instructing people to do that. So it isn't actually totally necessary to have separate dog bins. Are there any other members that wish to speak? Has anyone, there were concerns expressed about the bunds. Councillor Whitaker.
Thank you, Chairman. I find it very disappointing that this district council is about to invest a significant amount of money, obviously put a lot of effort in already with consultants, consultation exercises, etc. But graphically today, we've had 5 speakers who live on the patch, neighbours. I've always got the feeling that people that live closest know best of their own community. We've got the parish council objecting. So it's incredibly frustrating as a district councillor that consistently this district council seems to not conduct consultations in a positive way with the right outcomes, because these people are not happy, and I want them to be happy because it's a significant amount of money. Now I know this is a planning committee, but the principle of the consultations is applicable to other areas, not necessarily planning, and it's either a sell or it's a tell, and in this instance I got the feeling it's a tell, and there should have been a bit more sell. It just provides grit in the relationship between the district council and the parish council, and we see it consistently, and it just doesn't give me a good feeling.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to? Councillor Sweatman.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I just ask Rachel that there has been obviously adequate consultation on this throughout the stages, just want to make sure that is clear. So the district council has engaged properly with the residents. And the other question is, or just an observation, can we go back to the oval slide, please? The one showing that, no, that one. Well, looking at it, and I understand the residents' concerns, but if you jigged it around to somewhere else, it's I can't see what difference it's going to make with the noise or whatever. The distance is some distance away, 61 metres and 65 metres. So I think it's quite a reasonable distance from the actual properties. So I don't know where else you could how you could adequately redesign that to make it better. But your comments, please.
This goes back to the pre-application stages of consultation, the master planning process from back in 2022 when the scheme was being designed, and it has been amended based on residents' comments. The car park, for example, was a major issue with the parish council and the residents, so that was excluded. The table tennis was removed as well. The play equipment was carefully sited to the southern part of the bund, to the south of the bund, so that the bund could act as a screen from residents to the north, both in terms of visually and also in terms of noise as well. And then planting along the western boundary to again act as a buffer from those properties to the west of the bund, and the distances are significant in terms of from the centre of the bund or even the lower part of the bund to the boundary of the application site. I can only reiterate that this, as part of the master planning process, there were a series of consultation exercises with the local residents as this scheme evolved. And this is why we have this scheme before us that's coming as an application. It was felt that with the constraints of the site on Finch's Field, this was the best layout. And it's going to improve drainage to the site in addition to the current situation. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Right, if there are no other members wish to speak, can I have a proposer for the recommendation on page 25 of the report? Right, sorry, Councillor Bates, could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Swetman. Right, could we move to the votes then, please? Right, that's 10 votes in favour and 1 against. Therefore, the recommendation 3.1 that full permission be granted subject to conditions listed in Appendix A is passed. Thank you very much. We now move on to item 8, DM 240115, Mount Noddy Recreation Ground, St John's Road, East Grinstead, West Sussex, RH 193LG. Similar item for development of playground in Mount Noddy. Again, I would invite Rachel to make a presentation, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to draw the attention of the members to the agenda update sheet. And paragraph 10.17 of the officer report refers to the creation of a pond as part of the proposals. The proposals do not include the creation of a pond at Mount Noddy recreation site. So this application is at Mount Noddy Recreation Ground, St John's Road, East Grinstead, West Sussex, for general improvements to the existing park, including the resurfacing of existing paths, creating new paths, creating an area for the petanque, boules, and a new youth zone. This is the location site, as illustrated, by the red edge outline, which you can see here. The area edged in blue is land also within Mid Sussex District Council's ownership, but is not included as part of the application site. Access can be gained from the west via St John's Road here, the allotments to the north, and the cemetery to the east and southern boundaries. The site is generally flat. The existing site plan shows a larger scale version of the location plan, illustrating the site as existing. It shows the enclosed children's play area to the west. It shows tennis courts to the north, the pavilion for bowling and the children's nursery, which is centrally positioned within the site, and the bowling green to the east. There is a football pitch to the southwestern corner. Existing vegetation is illustrated largely around the perimeter of the site boundary and concentrated to the south. There are houses adjoining the site to the north, to the west, and the southern boundaries. For the purposes of planning policy, the site lies within the built-up area as defined in the district plan. The proposed site plan shows a new youth zone here, a central plaza here, enhanced pavilion space here, enhanced play space here, enhanced entrances and paths together with new footpath connections here, and improved drainage to the pitch, which is shown with the blue line around the footpaths. The new youth zone will sit to the western side of the already refurbished tennis courts, which are on the northwestern part of the application site. The proposed basketball enclosed area will be adjacent to existing tennis courts and enclosed with a 3-metre high weld mesh fenced area. To the west of this will be a more relaxed and informal area enclosed with a 1.2 metre high railings. It will include provision for a hammock, a basket swing and 2 table tennis tables, along with seating and planting in the northern and southwestern corners. Here, here and here. The planting will form a birch grove of medium trees. These trees are unlikely to grow to their maximum height due to their constrained area of planting. The central plaza is situated to the south of the basketball court, adjacent to the pavilion. This is a new area comprising the creation of a petanque, boules facility and benches, all adjacent to the western side of the existing bowling green. As part of the reconfiguration of the external nursery space here, a section of hedgerow will be removed, which is shown here. And it will be replaced with a new hedgerow and fence. The security arrangement to the existing bowling green will remain unchanged, which currently comprises of a hedge. The proposed enhanced pavilion open space mainly includes resurfacing of the paving around the north and western side of the building, ornamental planting and bins. The proposed enhanced play space involves upgrading and replacing existing play equipment, new safety surfacing, picnic benches. Fences, gates and hedges are to be retained. A new path network is proposed to increase accessibility across the park, and drainage is proposed alongside the main pathway and to the south of the football pitch. Planting is proposed across the recreation ground, including new trees, native hedge, ornamental and wildflower meadow seed planting. This is the larger scale version of the proposed arrangement to the north-east. And this slide shows the proposed arrangement where the majority of the new facilities are to be located. This is the southeastern part of the site. This slide shows the proposed detail. In the southeastern corner, it illustrates proposed footpaths in this area. The orange dotted areas here and here and here are the existing trees to be removed, proposed to get together with proposed trees and hedges trees to be retained. The blue line indicates the proposed drainage trench alongside the path. The diagonal hatching around the bowling green identifies the planting to be retained. Slide 7 is the arrangement in the northwestern part of the site via St John's Road, the proposed footpaths and planting and how they sit within the context of the youth zone and play space. And this is the arrangement to the southwest, and it shows the play space area and the footpaths and planting proposed around the existing football pitch. Slide 9 is an illustrative materials palette, and it gives you a flavour and an idea of the overall appearance of the facilities proposed. And these are some photographs I've taken. This shows the existing play space area, and this shows the Mount Noddy cottage and the existing tennis court arrangement where the proposed youth zone will be. The first slide here is looking east and on the northern part of the recreation ground. The first lighting column has a CCTV camera installed. This is the western side of the pavilion and the curvy hedgerow, which is to be removed, and the proposed area for the petanque boules and seating. And here we have the existing outdoor nursery area and the adjacent path that leads into the bowling green. And this area will be reconfigured to separate that access and that footpath away from that outdoor nursery space. These are the existing and to be retained newly refurbished tennis courts. And this slide shows the football pitch towards the northern part of the site, footpath running in an east-westerly direction. The recommendation is that permission be granted subject to conditions listed in Appendix A. The main issues for consideration are set out in the officer report. The applicant is Mid-Sussex District Council, and as such the scheme of delegation to officers does not allow for proposals of this type involving the council as applicant or landowner to be dealt with under delegated authority. As set out in your officer's report, the main issues are principle, design and character, residential amenity, trees, ecology, drainage and the Ashdown Forest. DP24 supports the development and provides new, supports development that provides new and or enhanced leisure and cultural facilities, including the provision of play areas and equipment of an appropriate scale and impact, including making land available for this purpose. EG 14 in the neighbourhood plan protects open spaces, sports, recreational buildings and land. This is also reflected in the National Planning Policy Framework, which encourages positive planning for the provision of shared spaces and to improve health, social and cultural well-being for all sections of the community. The principle of the proposed development is acceptable and is in accordance with the criteria of relevant planning policies. The master planning process for Mount Noddy started in 2019 and the detailed designs have been developed and evolved following comprehensive survey work, public consultation exercises that have been carried out. Proposals have been amended along the way in accordance with feedback from residents whilst taking on board the constraints of the site. It is necessary, like with any planning application, to weigh up planning balance in terms of the issues and the weight attributed to each. It is important to note, though, that this is an existing recreation ground already used by the general public. The proposals essentially seek to upgrade and improve existing facilities and environment for the wider benefit of the community. To summarise, issues such as design and character, trees and flood risk are considered acceptable and in accordance with adopted development plan policy. The proposed development and equipment would be an enhancement and improvement which is accessible to all. Landscaping is proposed to include new tree, hedge planting and wildflower seed mix planting together with new grasses. The majority of existing vegetation would be retained, albeit 4 trees removed. Drainage provisions have been included within the proposed development in accordance with policy requirements. In terms of residential amenity, it is not considered that the proposals would constitute significant harm to the occupants of nearby properties. The proposals have been designed and prepared with input from Mid-Sussex District Council Anti-Social Behaviour Team, Place Leisure, and in consultation with the Design Out Crime Officer at the local police authority. Existing CCTV is in place to ensure good coverage of the northern half of the site. The youth zone has been designed with the position of new CCTV cameras in mind. Mid-Sussex District Council are committed to the ongoing management and maintenance of the park, and it will form part of the Council's Green Spaces Management contract. Therefore, taking all the points into consideration, there are compelling reasons to approve this application. The scheme is considered acceptable and is compliant with policy criteria of the adopted development plan. It is recommended that permission be granted, and that brings my presentation to an end, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, we have one speaker. Mark Tomes is doubling up today. So if you would like to take the chair, and again, obviously, you're restricted to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, this is one of 3 Mid-Sussex Park projects planned for construction during 24-25. The proposals are a result of a comprehensive engagement-led master planning process. We received nearly 500 responses to an initial online questionnaire in 2020, showing fantastic support and excitement about this project. 84% of respondents agreed with the master planning themes that have informed these proposals. This will deliver multiple aspirations and bring many benefits to the local community. I'd like to focus a little bit of time just addressing some of those concerns about antisocial behaviour and the proposed new youth zone. The general intent is to create spaces that can be enjoyed more equally by everyone, and with more people enjoying Mount Noddy, there is less chance of antisocial behaviour or fear of it. The proposals have been developed with input from Mid-Sussex Community Safety Team, Places Leisure, and in consultation with Sussex Police. The enhancements are designed to address antisocial behaviour issues as far as is possible. And measures to reduce antisocial behaviour include improving access and activities to enable more visitors and encourage passive surveillance, enhancing the quality to foster a sense of pride in the place, and investing in facilities for young people to address the lack of youth provision in East Grinstead, removing physical and visual barriers and widening paths where possible, providing a range of facilities for different ages and interests, and offering spaces for activities throughout the year whilst using robust materials and furniture. These measures help deliver council policies and aspirations aligning with the themes from the master planning process. CCTV cameras within Mount Noddy provide additional surveillance. Regarding the youth zone, the intent is to repurpose the redundant tennis courts, avoiding additional costs and materials for creating a new area elsewhere. By providing a new lower fence, the space will feel more welcoming and connected to the rest of the park. The basketball court is located further from the neighbouring cottage to minimise noise, and the active sports area is separated from the less active spaces like the hammock and basket swing, following best practice for designing spaces for girls and young women. Chunky timber seats fixed to the ground can be used for play or physical activities like balancing and jumping. And groups of trees provide shade and filtered screening between the neighbouring cottage and the youth zone. We plan to involve young people in designing the proposed line markings on the surfacing, fostering pride in place. Once built, the youth zone will enable local groups and organisations like Places Leisure to run events and community activities. So while the design and management cannot solve all antisocial behaviour issues within the open space, these proposals aim to address them as far as possible. If approved, these
Could you wrap
proposals...
up, please?
Yes, sure. If approved, these proposals will bring multiple benefits to the whole community. If not, we risk losing these potential benefits and ways to address antisocial behaviour. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Right, Councillor Peacock, I believe you're the Town Council member for this area.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, first of all, I'd just like to say it's good to see these plans being put forward, investment in facilities, public facilities for our residents and for younger people. And it's obviously taken time and gone through consultation. 2 questions, just to clarify, when the original consultation started, the original plan, I know the Bowls Club were concerned about the hedge being removed, or sections of the hedge. I believe it did go through the response from consultation. The plans were changed, my understanding is. I'm just double checking. As you said earlier, the hedge surrounding the Bowls Club remains intact and the security features are there. That is my understanding. I think that's a good aspect. Contrary to the situation earlier, this is where consultation has been positive and for the specific site where they have listened to feedback where possible and made changes. Obviously, not all sites are the same, applications are the same. So the first question is, the hedge is still there. Second question, I'm right in thinking there is planting where the seating is between the cottage and that seat. There is planting, isn't there? So it's not immediately in front of the main elevation of the cottage. I think I'm right in saying that. Overall, I'm supportive of this. I welcome the investment, upgrading the facilities, taking on board the provisions that have been put forward to combat antisocial behaviour, with certainly an increase in footfall and usage. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Rachel, do you want to comment on those 2 points?
Thank you. So yes, the existing hedge around the bowling green is to be retained, and the security situation remains unchanged from the existing situation. In terms of the bench, do you mean the bench here?
Yes, yes, there is. Yeah, the
so
seating.
The planting, there's tree planting here, and then you have the birch groves in the corners here.
Yeah.
And then the area will be enclosed with a 1.2 metre high railings.
Thank you.
Councillor Simon.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, thank you, Rachel. There's just one observation. I'm actually for this application before I go on. But looking at that plan there, and I understand the tennis courts are under reconstruction, I may be wrong on that, but it would have been better in hindsight if it was swapped the other way around, because my main concern was that the cottage at the far northwest corner is a very short distance between the corner of the original tennis courts to the cottage. And I think you answered my other question earlier on, is that you've got 3 lots of tree plants in there, that how high the trees are going to grow, because the maybe loss of light to that cottage. So I think you've answered that one. The other thing I was going to say, if you can scroll down to the south of the bowling green, on the other slide, those trees.
Wait.
Can you go back one? Those trees, yeah, they're just down a bit, ringed in red.
Yes.
Can I just reconfirm that those trees are all staying and none are being removed there? Because they're quite established trees.
So the trees in orange are proposed to be removed, and these are the trees that are proposed to be planted. So these ones will be removed in orange.
When I looked on the portal to look at that, it seemed to me to the west of the bowling green in the field, there's about 4 trees to be removed, and about 3 of them were just the west and 1 down, just down a bit. But I can't remember seeing those well-established amenity value trees at the bottom of the bowling green.
So the trees to the west of the bowling green that you're referring to are here and here that are to be removed,
Yeah,
which are these two trees.
yeah, those trees above that little small building there. What you can see if you go to the bowls club in the middle, no, same frame, middle picture.
This
Yeah,
one?
Yeah, those trees to the top there, are they staying or going?
From the drawing, it just shows. It's as I said. T49 and T50. Let me just go back to the drawing. So T49 and T50 are going, and so the areas hatched in orange are going. So there's two trees there going.
Are they smaller trees or the larger amenity trees right at the bottom of the bowling green? Because I'm very, very concerned about this, because they have extremely amenity value.
Well, I mean, all I can, let me just have a look at my report and see what it says. I mean, what I can say is that there is a landscaping condition attached to the planning permission. So the details and also the planting proposals are illustrative. So subject to a planning condition. So the details can be considered post decision. But the intention from that drawing is where you see the hatched orange area, those trees will be removed. But the planting proposals obviously are providing a lot of planting with it across the site.
Yeah, so what you're saying is the condition, it could be looked at or afterwards with the tree officer?
The reason that in the information that's been provided, the reason those trees are coming out is due to drainage. That's my understanding. So there is a reason for those trees coming out, and the tree officer at the council has looked at that and has approved their removal in principle.
Right. Just trying to establish whether those trees are going to go. They're quite tall, very tall in actual fact. But anyway,
Okay, Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. I think overall, I quite welcome this proposal to improve the facilities at Mount Noddy play areas. I am a bit concerned when people start talking about antisocial behaviour, because when young people are enjoying themselves, they do make a bit of noise, and we'll all have noise problems anyway, whether it be children playing, or whether it be people mowing their lawns, or it be motorcycles roaring down the road. Some of these are legitimate, and some of these are a bit of a nuisance. So when it's excessive antisocial behaviour and vandalism and excessive noise and ghetto bastards and all the rest of it, yes, but not sort of, mustn't really stop children enjoying themselves when they're out at play. But overall, I'm in favour of supporting this application.
Thank you. Councillor Bates.
Chairman, I'm supportive of the application. The only thing that I picked up is the basketball court, and wondered about the how much it's used in that fashion, as opposed to the 3x3 basketball games that are now being played. And I wonder if any consideration had been made about the use of the court in respect of those two ways of playing basketball. That's very technical, that bit for you, but you saw it in the, I saw it in the Olympic Games, or everybody saw it in the Olympic Games.
Yeah. Did you want to comment or?
I haven't really got anything to add, to be honest. I'm not a sports expert, so I can't really comment, really. Apologies.
Basically, one has 10 players and the other one has 6 players.
Yeah. Councillor Eaves.
Yes, I'd just like to back up Councillor Sweatman on the trees. I noticed that they were due for removal. I really can't understand why, especially if they're high amenity value. And some of them are on a slope, and if you take trees out to remove drainage, you get landslips if you're on a slope. So I would ask for that to be looked again and ask whether there have been any bat surveys done of those trees. Thank you.
Councillor Whitaker.
Thank you, Chairman. I welcome the extensive consultation exercise, further to my previous comments on the other application. Exemplary job, well done. 500 responses is great. From a town council point of view, and also the local sports council were very active in lobbying, very, very welcoming to see this investment in additional sports with Petanque and basketball, extra sports facilities, but also the football pitch existing drainage, and that was mentioned in the previous application as well. And again, the town and the sports council have been lobbying for investment in drainage of existing facilities. It's all part of this district council's sports development and facilities strategy. So welcome it, and I propose to go with the recommendation of approval, please, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Can I suggest that if the recommendation is approved, that you had discussions with the officers before the conditions are finalised about the trees? I would, Councillor Eaves as well, can I suggest that's done rather than holding up the entire proposal? Right, I've had a proposal from Councillor Whitaker. Could I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Could we move to the votes, please? Right, that's 11 in favour, so that's carried unanimously. Thank you very much, members. Now move to item 9, questions pursuant to the Council Procedure Rule 10.2, due notice of which has been given. I have none, so I close the meeting at 3:26. And thank members for their attendance, and could they remain seated until the live stream is turned off, please. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.